Let's talk about it on the Vera Thomas Show. Let's talk about it.
Hello, hello, hello. I am so happy to see you all here today. I am so excited about my guest. Her name is Janice Kenyatta. And let me pull her up. Hello, Miss Janice. How are
Hello,
you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am excited that you are here with me today. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to share with our audience a little bit about you, and then I'm going to give you the floor. So let me just tell them a little bit about Janice Kenyatta. Born and raised in both Newark and Orange, New Jersey, Janice Kenyatta is a retired educator and school administrator. In her last professional position, Janice served as the Experiential Learning Internship Manager at Northampton Community College in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Prior to that position, she held the positions of Director of Tech Prep, Career Coach, Adjunct Professor, and Career Placement Specialist at Northampton Community College. With over 40 years of experience in career and technical education, Janice has taught high school business education, adjunct business courses at several community colleges, and for 6 years, she was the first African American and first woman to serve as supervisor of career and technical education at Essex County Vocational and Technical Schools, located in northern New Jersey. She has her master's in business education and holds a postgraduate supervisory certification in career and technical education in New Jersey and Pennsylvania. She currently resides in Wind Gap, PA. Janice is the mother of two daughters and grandmother of identical twin granddaughters. She is co author of the book Black Folks Hair Revisited: Secrets, Shame, and Liberation. In her retired life, Janice has renewed her love for writing meaningful children's books and for interior decorating. Throughout her life, Janice's motto has always been: the more we learn, the less we fear. Amen. Amen. The more we learn, the less we fear. I love that. I love that. Now, you've done a lot of things with adult continuing education and high school. And here you have a book for children. So I'd like for you to share with us your journey and how is it that you got to writing children's books with all the experience and education that you've had working with adults. So
Sure,
I'm going to give you the floor.
absolutely. And first and foremost, I want to thank you for having me on your show. I'm very excited to be here. So I get asked very often, what led you to write a children's book? So you're not the first person to ask me that. So it's a kind of a twisty, long, windy road. So I want to start from the beginning. I want to go back because I actually wrote this children's book 24 years ago. And
Oh
everybody
my
looks at
God.
me like, oh, really? And here we are in 2023. But I wrote this book 24 years ago. And I need to go back even before then as to why I wrote the book. I forgot that I wrote the book, and I'll get into that a little bit later, but I forgot that I wrote the book actually 24 years ago. And I didn't write, I rewrote it, not rewrote it, but I tweaked it and published it in 2021, 2022 rather, somewhere around that time is when I started. But to go back as to how this all started, as you mentioned in my bio, my ex-husband Kamau Kenyatta and I we co-wrote a book together called Black Folks Hair, and back then the first edition was called Black Folks Hair: Secrets, Shame, and Liberation. And that book was a psychological, historical, and sociological survey or study, I should say, of why Black women, many Black women of that time, straightened their hair, and many still do. And as you can imagine, it's a very volatile subject. We got a lot of press about the book, and we were traveling and promoting the book, and we talked to many women about this subject of hair straightening. And to make a long story short, during that time period before we wrote the book, I was also transitioning myself from straight hair, chemically straightened hair, to my natural hair, wearing my natural curls. And a lot of that came from the encouragement of my husband at the time, Kamau, who mentioned to me, "Well, why do you straighten your hair?" And I really had no reason, like a lot of Black women, other than that. Well, everybody else does it. But that was my reason. But there were other reasons that other women gave, that they hated their hair. It was hard to manage in its natural state. And just a myriad of reasons why Black women straighten their hair. So during that time period, once we wrote the book and we were writing the book, I was also going through my hair journey to wear my natural hair, which I do now. For 30 years, I've been wearing my natural hair. But during that time, my husband at the time said something to me that was key. He said to me, "Remember, we had two daughters who were very young at the time. Maybe, one wasn't even born at that time, or she was just born. But maybe they were very early, 2, 3, 4." And he said to me, "These girls are going to do exactly what you do. Remember that." And I that was profound for me. I thought about it, and I said, he's exactly right. If they see me straightening my hair, they want to do the same thing. And I actually witnessed the older one, Aaliyah. I had the curling iron plugged in one morning, and I already have naturally curly hair, so I'm straightening my hair. Now I have the curling iron putting the curl back in my hair, which didn't make sense once I thought about it. But I noticed she started to imitate me curling her hair with the curling iron, and I said, he is exactly right. She's imitating me. So that was one avenue, one road that caught my attention in terms of the children learning about accepting themselves, who they are, and loving themselves. But then one day I was teaching a high school class, and it was at the end of class. And I heard a group of students talking before they left out. And one of the students, a little young Black girl, about 16, 17, she said, "I hate my hair." She said, "Black people's hair is a curse." Now you can imagine, I was mortified when I heard her say that. Black people's hair is a curse. And so it really struck me. And that's when I said to come out, I said, I'm going to write a children's book, because it's bad. The first book we wrote was for adults, and it was written in adult form. But then I thought to myself, children need to hear this as children. Parents are our children's first teachers.
Absolutely. I say that all the time. Absolutely.
Yes. So that was the impetus that got my creative juices flowing. Let me write a children's book, and I'm going to call it Just As It Is. I had the same title 24 years ago when I wrote it, Just As It Is. I typed up the manuscript. I barely remember this because it was 20-something years ago, but I typed the manuscript up, and I put it up. And life got in the way. And we were doing so many things. We built a house in the Poconos. We moved there. We were in the house for 18 years. And when we unfortunately separated back in 21 and we sold the house, he called me and he said, "Do you know that you wrote this book, this children's book?" And I was shocked. I said, "No way," because I completely forgot about it. He said, "Yes, you wrote this book." And I said, "I completed it? I thought I just wrote half of it." He said, "It's done. You will have a whole manuscript." And he said, "It's a great book. You need to do something with this book." And so I was retired at the time, just retired from teaching the grown folks, the older people.
Yes.
And so he brought the manuscript over. The manuscript was in the attic of the house that we built. And it was in his stuff in the attic in a box. And it was there for at least 20 years.
Wow.
So I always say that was divine intervention.
Right. And for such a time as this.
Yes. It's still a timely subject.
Yes.
I only had to tweak a little bit to bring it up to the 21st century. But
well, it's an awesome book. I've read it. I'm getting it for my granddaughters. And my great nieces. It's a wonderful book. And I want to acknowledge one of our listening audience. Hello, Lenora. She says, hello, everyone. Blessings and prayers. Yes, thank you for listening. Thank you so much. And your story, this is just so awesome. Now, and it's timely because you realize they're now saying that processing our hair and using chemicals and all that stuff is causing cancer and
Absolutely.
all kinds of physical illnesses. And
We actually
so,
wrote that in the book. In our book back then, we wrote that. Yes. We knew it back then.
wow.
Yes, yes. We did a whole chapter on the health issues of chemically straightening your hair. Also hot comb straightening, but chemically straightening was even more detrimental.
Yes, because
Yeah,
it's going into your system.
absolutely.
You know, it's going into your system. And so, yes, so this is a very timely book. And I want people to buy the book. So we're not, I don't want to get into the whole story, but it's
Yes.
a beautiful story about a mother and a father and how they both embraced their daughter and how they made her feel and how other kids, because we have bullying and all this other kind of stuff, which you really kind of touch on a little bit in this book,
Yes. Yes.
you know. So I'm going to
But
shut up. Go ahead.
yes, if I can tell you, I did that by design. Couple of things. The book is loosely based on my daughters, specifically the older daughter, because at when she was younger, and I decided to lock my hair. I wore locks for many years, about 18 years. She loved the locks, and she wanted to get locks. Her father had locks, I had locks, and she wanted them. And so eventually, when she had a head full of hair, and it was like World War III, combing her hair, and I knew locks would be, once we locked them in, would be very simple to groom her hair. And it's a beautiful way to wear your hair. I mean, I love it.
Yes.
And so we locked her hair when she was 7, which is similar to the character in the book. We locked her hair when she was 7, and then the younger one, Ayana, just because the older one had her hair locked and her father and her mother did, she wanted hers. So they used to call us the lock family. We all had locks. We all had locks. But one of the reasons you see the cover is by design. The reason why you see a mother and a father is because that, to me, is one of the, it depicts the nucleus family: a mother, a father, and the child. And I
Yes.
did that by design. I wrote that years ago, and I didn't change that concept. So what people read in the book is strictly by design and suggestion.
And and that's books should be that way. They should allow for critical thinking. They should
Yes.
allow for people to really begin to look at themselves inside of the story. And little girls, I mean, my granddaughters, they have, oh man, they've got all this beautiful, thick
Yes.
hair.
Yes.
And this your little girl in here reminds me of my one daughter. Her name is Aaliyah as well.
Oh, really?
Yes, it's spelled differently, but
Mhm.
she has heard your I as I read this story, I immediately thought about Aaliyah because her hair is so thick
Mhm.
and beautiful, just beautiful and
And that's
you know,
key. You just said the key word: beautiful.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes.
You didn't say it in a positive, in a negative way. And see, that's why I wrote the book, because it's not only for children, it's for parents, adults, to understand the way we talk about ourselves and the way we talk about our features and our hair. Because the book has a two-part meaning for me. The way we talk about ourselves, it goes into the children hear this.
Yes.
Now, if you tell them, and we used to do this to our little girls, we used to tell them every night that they were beautiful. And I know their father used to kiss them and say, "You're beautiful, princess." He told them this every single day. And so the way you talk to them, and the way you just, and then they saw their parents or their mom wearing her natural hair. So the way you talk to them is the way that they are going to grow up.
I'm
But
telling you.
yes, by the same token, which is the other part of the book, what I want to emphasize, it's not just for little Black children, it's for everybody, because what it does, it has a degree of self-esteem, self-image, in the sense that once you grow up as a young young person, loving your features, your whether it's your hair, your nose, your complexion, your,
Yes,
your
yes,
booty, your mouth,
yes,
whatever.
yes. I want to show this
Yes,
because you're not just talking to young black girls. You're talking to girls, period.
that's right.
And so that's the beauty of it. And being
Absolutely.
and like you said, being able to accept
Exactly.
who we are,
Yes.
regardless.
Yes. And then on the flip side of the coin, appreciate and accept other people from different cultural and ethnic backgrounds, what they have. They're God given people.
Exactly.
I mean, this is, again, as you mentioned, it crosses over into the bullying aspect of life. And we see so much of that. I think about the 14-year-old young girl who committed suicide in New Jersey. I forget what school that was in, because the kids bullied her.
Yes.
And
Yes.
they do that when kids are different. This has to be taught in the home at an early age, that you don't be.
Early age,
Yeah.
absolutely. And what people, and I often think, because when it comes to bullying and having grown up being bullied myself,
Hmm.
this book means a lot to me because I can relate to so much of it. Not so much the hair part,
Yeah.
but definitely the other parts of it. But
Absolutely.
being able to recognize, because Eleanor Roosevelt, and this is something I try so hard when I'm working with young people to get them to understand. A lot of times we don't have any control over who our parents are. We don't have any control over how adults may react, relate, or respond to us. But what we have control over is, as Eleanor Roosevelt said, no one can make me feel inferior
Hmm.
without my permission. So once we ingrain that in this book, is a perfect example of helping people understand it doesn't matter what other people say. It doesn't matter how other people perceive you. What matters is how we perceive and see ourselves.
Perfectly
And
said.
that's why this book is just so awesome. Just as it is. I love
That's
it.
right. Very simple, just as it is. Now there are certain things, and I should clarify, there are certain things that we as individuals do to enhance our features. I'm talking about when someone looks like, for instance, when it comes to the hair, if you want to put color in your hair, that's one thing. But to alter the natural texture of your hair because you think it's a curse and it's ugly and bad,
But
that's
but
a
let's
whole other thing.
I know, but let's face it. We've grown up to believe that.
Absolutely.
All the studies that have gone on where they put little black children and white children together, and then the black child would, when asked, who's the pretty one here? And they
Yes.
would choose the white person over themselves because we were conditioned.
And you know why that is? That's well, now social media, but before it was the media, TV. It showed the standard of beauty was straight
Exactly.
blonde hair. Blonde was
Right.
always the standard of beauty.
Right. And blue
Straight blonde hair and
eyes.
blue eyes. And then
Yeah.
when we wrote the hair book for the first book, the hair book, we got calls and letters, and back then letters, we weren't getting emails back then. We getting letters from all over the world from women who were white and who also went through the same self-esteem issue as children because their hair was not straight. It could have been a young Jewish girl. Her hair was
Curly
curly.
hair.
And
Yeah.
she told me, literally, she had to iron her hair on the ironing board because the kids teased her because her hair was not straight like theirs. You see, that's why I wrote the book. So it's many reasons.
Absolutely. And the beauty of it is, once we recognize, and we've got a comment coming in. Yes, we want to hear your comments. Okay. Oh, Kamal. He's saying you have a great style of interviewing, Vera, and Janice is always on target. Yes. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. So the thing, oh my God, this is so full of wisdom, insight, education, and we need for our, I mean, there was just a study done with CDC about the images that our young girls are having towards themselves. This is such a timely, this is so timely.
And I'll give you another example of why it's timely. And I put it on LinkedIn, but LinkedIn is it's a little different to get to the audiences. But on LinkedIn, I see often, and I've seen it. I just saw it last week, where there's still so much work to be done in this area, where you have actually Black women putting their LinkedIn headshot, their professional headshot, with their natural hair, and they're putting it on LinkedIn so everybody can see it, and saying words like, I'm so happy and I feel so good about myself that I can put my picture up with my natural hair. Like, what is that? I've been doing that for years.
But come on, let's face it. So often, I mean, people have been denied jobs because of their hair. And I remember getting a director's job, and I changed my appearance.
Of course.
And when I changed my appearance, their perception and their attitude towards me changed.
Yes.
And so to feel proud, to be able to wear Afrocentric hairstyles and feel comfortable in your skin, that took a long time coming.
And it's still, that's why, I don't know if you're familiar with the Crown Act. That's what the Crown Act is all about. You cannot discriminate against hairstyles in the workplace. We talk about that in our book 30 years ago. But it's still happening. It's still a thing. Some people say, oh, hair, what's the big deal? It's a big deal.
It is a big deal.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
And your self-image of yourself and how other people think, what other people think about you.
Absolutely. And that's why it's so important that we have that solid self-esteem and that solid confidence, because we can no longer afford to allow other people to determine who we are, how we should think, and what we should do, and how we should look.
Yes. We already have this going on in Florida with the governor. Taught in African studies classes. We already had this going on. And so it's still not over. It's still a thing.
And it's, and the sad is so sad. It is so sad that we have to keep going back to this over and over and over again. And that's because if we refuse to admit what our history is, we are doomed to repeat it.
Absolutely.
And that's why we're going through all this stuff. We need to allow critical race theory to exist and and there are, I know
but it's interrelated. What you're saying.
It is. And we need to clearly understand that not only is it important for us as African Americans to know our history, but it's important for our nation to recognize what this country has done, not only to African Americans, but to Japanese, to China, to every foreigner that came here.
Native Americans went through
something.
Yeah. How about Native Americans who were here already?
Yes. Yes. And you know what? I got to go to a commercial. But I will be back.
Okay.
All right. So back to what we were saying. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So we have another comment. Let's see. All right, Laverne Belton, she says, great interview. Thank you very much. She's a great interviewee. So back to, let's look at the condition that we're in right now and why this book is so timely, because you're talking about acceptance.
Yes.
And you're talking about acceptance at an early age.
Absolutely.
So one of the things I want to ask you, if you can just kind of share with our audience some key points of things that a parent can do, because like you said, parents are our children's first teachers. They are our first teachers. And so what we give them is what is going to pour out of them. So I want you to kind of answer that question.
Well, parents, and I'm speaking from experience. Parents have to affirm and confirm with their children how they look. I mean, I'm talking also from experience because I know. I mean, I went as a child. I went through some body issues, largely because my mother. There were certain things that she said about, and I don't like using the fat word, but certain things she would say to me about getting fat and not getting fat and all that. She didn't really know what she was saying, but those suggestions of going to a young kid's head, and it could go with them and stay with them through the rest of their lives and make them do certain things that they may probably would not otherwise not have done. So to give you an example with our children, when they were young girls, little girls, and their hair was locked. Back then, a lot of kids were not wearing locked hair. And we moved to from a diverse area in New Jersey. We built a house in a pretty white area in the Poconos. And so I had to sit the girls down and say to them, your skin color is already going to be different from the larger audience and the student population. So when you go there, you have to be proud, carry yourself in a proud way about your locked hair because it's different. And they're going to, not only white people, but black people are going to look at you because they're not used to seeing that hair, seeing your hair twisted like that and getting longer and longer. And they're going to ask you all kinds of questions like they did me when but the kids are a little bit different. They're a little more blunt in terms of the types of questions they ask. They don't have any filters.
Right.
So you may get asked, because I know I did, do you wash your hair? Don't get upset.
Or they might want to touch your hair.
Oh, they always want to touch it. They always want to touch it. I said, but don't get upset. Use that as an opportunity to teach them about the differences that you have from them. Your hair is hair, and it's groomed in a different way, perhaps from other black people as well, but it's groomed in a different way, and it's clean. Your parents wash your hair, and it's nice and clean. Educate the masses. Don't just get upset and get an attitude and feel bad about yourself. So one of the things parents have to do, you have to be in tune to your child as well. But you have to, be there to explain to them. And don't use negative words even to describe other people about, they look dirty or they're a group of overweight people or just anything derogatory. You don't want to have that type of energy in your home.
No, you don't.
You want to keep it on a positive level as it relates to others outside the home and as it relates to you and your children inside the home. And I know that's kind of hard to do. A lot of parents have not been trained that way themselves.
Exactly. And you can't teach what you don't know, and you can't give what you don't have.
Absolutely. Our kids just happen to be in a little bit of a situation where I was an educator. And I think I came out of the womb educating. It's in my blood. I don't care what I do. And I'm an information geek and I like to educate. So they were fortunate or blessed, I should say, in the sense that they had me. And then, of course, then they had their father that worked with me. And they grew up with really good self-esteem, but they didn't put other people down. They had friends from every background and ethnic culture you can think of. And I think that's a beautiful thing. But
it is. And just think, we would not have all these problems that we're having today with the hatred and the non-acceptance and the bigotry and the prejudice. We wouldn't have all of that.
If it was taught. Yes.
If parents was teaching, I mean, just like with you, I raised my son as a single mom, but he had friends from every culture, every walk of life. Because you have to instill that in them from a very early age. You cannot wait. And because if we wait, then what we're doing is allowing society and other people to determine their values and what's important to them. It needs to be taught in the home.
Once they get out into the world, it becomes a whole different ball game.
That's why they have to have this strong constitution. That's taught in the home,
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, if I can introduce my next the project I'm working on.
Yes.
That ties in with what you're saying.
Yes.
One of the things that I found out is that, from having little girls, is that when you go to the stores, during Kwanzaa or Christmas or whatever, birthdays, and you're looking for little black dolls, it could be a problem. It's getting better, but it depends on what area you go into, whether or not you're going to find dolls that look like your children. Because let's face it, children need to see images of themselves in their home.
Absolutely.
I have no problem with that. So after I wrote the book, I don't know, I was sitting down and I got this epiphany. I want to make a doll. I want to create a doll. I want to create a doll that mirrors the main character, Abena, which is Ghanaian for, she was born on Tuesday, and that's what I say in the book. But I wanted to have, it seems like I'm not holding it straight, but anyway. So I wanted
bring it over a little.
I wanted to have a character. I wanted to have a character that looked like this young lady who is 6 years old. She's about to be 7 in the book. And so I am working with a designer to develop a doll in her image. And here is my first prototype. It's called
beautiful.
Cut and Paste Doll. She's soft.
And it looks just like her. It looks just like her.
Yes. She's soft and cuddly. She's got natural hair. She wears it up like the character. She has an outfit on that she also has in the book. And her name is the Abena Plush Doll. So I am working with a designer. This is my first iteration or first prototype. I'm waiting for the second one because I want the jacket. The jacket can come off, but I want the jacket to be Velcro, so it looks a little neater. And if you see, these are her pants, her little sneakers.
Yeah.
And so I'm very proud of this. It's a work in progress.
And it looks just like the picture in the book. I'm telling you.
I know.
It does.
Yes.
It does.
I have to thank the my designers, my designers people. They did a drawing, a rendering, and then I approved it. And it's just a step-by-step process. So I'm hoping to get these out. It's a process to get a doll developed and manufactured. But I want to offer this with the book as well. Of course, it'll be for a price, but
yes.
But they'll love it because it's nice and cuddly.
Yeah, and that would make a great Christmas package.
Yes.
The book and the doll.
Yes.
That's awesome. I have a cousin that's doing the same thing. She writes children's books, and she has rag dolls that she's created. So then she's in PA also.
Oh, she's in PA?
Yeah, she's
my competition. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
So one thing I do want to say to my listening audience, listen, I need your support. Please, if you like this show, and if you glean from the show and get things from this, if this show inspires, motivates, and educates, and uplifts you, then please help support it. You can go to Cash App, $Instill Greatness, or PayPal and or Zelle, Vera Thomas Show 1117 at gmail.com. I need your support. So please support my show. And we have some more comments coming in. Okay, let's see. Okay. That doll is an excellent compliment to the book and will be a hit. Yes, it will be. I believe that. And I think it's beautiful how you and Kamau have such a beautiful relationship, even though you're not married anymore. I think that's beautiful. I really do.
He actually published the book. He's my publisher.
Oh my goodness, that is so awesome. Why can't people get along?
I don't know, but we fortunately we don't have that type of relationship. We have children together, we have grandchildren together, and we act like siblings.
Yes, that's beautiful. And then Pat Hudson, she says, love it.
Thank you. That's my cousin too. Thank you.
Thank you for listening. And then Johnny Griffin, this is a great interview, very informative. I love the book. Awesome. Johnny Johnson Griffin. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you. Yes, please buy this book. I know Christmas is over, but you need to purchase this book for birthdays just because.
Yes. And,
it doesn't have to be an occasion.
And definitely, if I can talk about the author's readings too, because that's key also to my work. And I've done 2 so far, and I'm looking forward to another one. And I tell you, it warms my heart If they go on my website, they can see pictures of it. To sit in front of a group of little kids, 4 and 5 years old,
I
and open this
know.
book and read it and
I
show the pictures.
know.
You should see their faces. And I can actually see, because I try to interact and engage with them. I don't just read. I show them pictures. I ask them questions about their hair, their nose,
Yes.
their mouth. I engage with them because they're 4 and 5,
Yes.
which is a new
Yes.
experience for me.
Yes.
But it warms my heart to see their facial expressions and the look that I get.
Listen. Okay, Dr. Tina, she says, hello, ladies. She's also saying, like, follow, share, and subscribe. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, please. And then Lenora, you got a customer. She says, I want the book and the doll. So
Well,
fantastic.
the doll is not out yet, but she can always
email her. The email. We've got the email scrolling, so please get her email.
If they want an autographed copy,
yes,
they can email me. But if you want to just get it right away, as far as the book is concerned, you can get it from Amazon.
Yes, yes, and then donate to the Vera Thomas Show. Yes, please, please, please.
I did.
Yes, and thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, now I do need to go to another commercial, and then we will be right back.
Okay.
All right.
The Vera Thomas Show.
Yes, donate, subscribe, and like, please. Okay, we have someone else is saying, so inspiring. Let that lovely light shine, Janet. Yes, yes, yes. Let your light shine. Amen. We appreciate the feedback that we're getting. We really appreciate that. So keep them coming. Keep them coming. Thank you. All right. Now, Janice, there's some other things. Now, are you still doing career development kinds of things on the side, or are you fully retired?
I have gotten a few requests to talk to students about careers and how to look for careers. I did something on Zoom regarding that. I think with a group, a friend of mine, she's the CEO of a Parent Matters. I don't know if you've heard of her, Rona Vega in Teaneck, and I did something for her to help her, just to help the juniors, upcoming seniors, figure out how to find a career, identify a career. So I did a lot of that before I retired, but now my passion has
with these kids, yes,
shifted a tad bit.
I understand.
I'm also involved in interior decorating.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I got certified. I got certified to be an interior decorating, and I am working with a client right now, and I have worked with another client. But again, my passion, again, it's the educator in me that feels that this love of oneself and love of other people has to come from from the home and with children.
Yes.
So that's what I'm really, really involved in. But I'm doing so many things, because the other thing is I'm going to be speaking about the first book, which will tie in with this children's book, because they kind of go hand in hand as well, because that's where it all started, with the first book.
Right.
So I'm keeping pretty busy with this whole self-esteem, diversity, inclusion, self-image.
Yes, it's so important. And your path and my path are kind of along the same lines, really. Because I work with kids as well, building confidence and self-esteem.
We need more of it.
Important. And parents, parents can't teach what they don't know. And so oftentimes parents are coming into parenting with their own unresolved issues.
Yes.
And they can't get past their own unresolved issues in order to make a difference in their children's lives. So,
it's a cycle.
Yes. Okay. Now he said, yes, I'm getting ready to do that now. Show us a copy of the first book. Oh, do you have it? Do you have a copy of the first book?
I can run get it real quick. I got access.
Well, I tell you what, let me do another commercial while you're doing that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I'll get it.
And if you're interested in wanting to advertise with me or any other one of the podcasters, but me particularly, please, then by all means, talk to me about advertising or even sponsoring a show. Thank you very much. All right. All right, now back. Let's see the book.
Oh, okay. So this is Black Folks Hair, Secret Shame
I
and
love the
Liberation.
cover.
Secret Shame and Liberation. And it's a small book, but not as small as you think. It's very comprehensive from a male and a female perspective about that's Kamau Kenyatta, my ex-husband, that's me over here. And it's about, again, as I mentioned, historical, sociological, and psychological reasons where all this came from in terms of wanting to chemically and hot comb straighten our hair. We go all the way back to the enslavement experience because that's where it began.
Yes.
And so, as you can well imagine, it could be a very volatile subject. We try to make, back then when we were promoting the book, and even now, I try to make women understand we're not putting you down because you make your hair straight. There's a psychological reason where all this came from, and you should be aware of it. Then you can make an intelligent decision of whatever you want to do.
Amen. Informed decision.
Informed decision.
Absolutely.
Yes,
and
most people
understand.
just do it because they just do it.
Right. Right. But a lot of people do it because they don't like the way they look otherwise.
That too.
Absolutely. You know, I mean, it can be it can be an issue. It can be an issue. And we really, and as I say this, I'm talking to myself as well.
Oh yeah, well most of us have the journey. For me, it was more generational. It was just, my mother did it, my grandmother did it, her grandmother did it. I never gave it a real good thought as to why did I straighten my hair. But now once I figured it out, like, why do I straighten my hair?
Yes. Yes. Now, is that book also available on Amazon?
Yes. If they go on my website, if people go on my website, you'll see this on the About the Author. They will see this book as well. So I'm just the author of 2 books now.
Okay, and her website is www.janicekenyatta.com.
Yes.
And it's scrolling down at the bottom here, and we've got another comment coming in. She says, "How long before the doll is ready?"
Bane of my existence.
She's working on it as she talks.
I am working on it. I'm waiting for the second prototype because I want to get the doll that I'm happy with.
Absolutely.
So I'm waiting for the second prototype to come in, which should have been in already. But whenever it comes in, if everything's good, I will approve it, and then the next step would be manufacturing. And who knows?
Well, keep me posted because I know Lenora, and I will get in touch with her.
I will keep you posted.
She'll keep me posted, and I'll keep you posted, Lenora.
Yes.
And anyone else that is interested in the doll.
What? I also want to make the point as well while we're on this subject. This book is not just the children's book is not neither book, but the children's book specifically is not just for girls. It's not just for girls. Boys can also benefit from it. But of course, there's an explanation that comes with it by the parent. You can't just give it to them. They read this. You want to explain to them because they also contribute to the self-esteem of young girls. They grow up to be men.
Yes, they do.
To be men.
And the self-esteem of themselves. I remember being in a class doing my program in a school. And she says,
let my sister know for me.
Okay, yes.
I will.
But I was working with kids, and this particular session, we had mothers come to the school during the school day. And this little black boy, 10 years old, under his breath, he said, "I can't stand and look at myself in the mirror." And I said, "What did you say?" And he said, "I can't stand to look at myself in the mirror." Oh my God. But the beauty was all his classmates, all these little kids surrounded him and showed him so much love and told him how wonderful he was. And all this, it was a tearjerker. Let me tell you. So I'm saying that to say, yes, little boys have self-esteem issues as well. And Kamal is saying Very good point about the boys being exposed to the book, because as men, they can become a problem. Yes. Men need to recognize and understand and appreciate women for their beauty, for who
Absolutely.
they are, and the name calling. Stop it.
Yes,
Stop
yes,
it.
yes, yes. We've met couples who the man did not want the woman to wear her natural hair, and you still feel that's still today. That's not just 20 years ago. Today, you have some men. Well, no, straighten your hair because they want to see a different look that they've been brainwashed to think is a
Yeah,
sign of beauty as well. So that's a. I just
absolutely.
want people to understand that point. It's not just a female, a woman thing. It's also for the boys and the men as well.
Absolutely. And I was looking at Tamron show today, and she was talking to men and fathers about being more sensitive and more understanding, and owning their thoughts and their feelings, which is a whole nother topic for discussion. Kamal, he's going to be on next week, so maybe we can even touch on that next week as well. So,
I actually sent my book to her. I haven't heard from him yet. I sent
oh,
the book.
did you?
I did with the nice letter, and I sent it snail mail, and I sent the book to them with some information, but I
Well,
haven't heard
shit.
back.
Well, we claim that you're going to be on Tamron's show. We
Okay,
claim that. We claim that right
make
now.
it plain.
You're going to be on her show. Well, listen, you won't believe this. We've got 7 more minutes. I'm going to play one more commercial, and then I'm going to give you the floor to close us out and to just kind of share your thoughts and some things, okay?
Sure.
All right. If you want to know more about sound money benefits and how we can take ownership of our finances, go to www.soundmoneybenefits.com and find out more about how we can gain more control over our finances and not allow the government to do everything that it's doing with our dollar. All right. All right. All right. I am going to be quiet. I am going to give you the floor, and I'm going to let you close us out with your,
Sure.
your thoughts of wisdom.
Yes.
And I am going to continue to scroll down here how they can sign up for you, get your book, and get in touch with you.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to give you the
Well,
floor.
so I don't rush through it. First and foremost, I do want to thank you, Vera, for giving me the platform and allowing me to come on your show and to promote and talk about the book and why I wrote it. And I just want to thank you so much for that. I think you have a lovely podcast. And I need to start looking at more of your podcasts because I think they're
Thank
very
you.
educational
Thank
and
you.
very enlightening and informative. So thank you so much for having me on. So now I want to go back to the reason why I wrote the book, and I want to end this evening to kind of bring it all together. My motivation to bring it together for this book would be first and foremost my children, which are my two girls, and now of course my identical twin granddaughters who are 8 and they'll be 9 in a couple of weeks. So of course I had them read this book. And I tested them on it. That's the teacher in me again. But to wrap it all up, the real reason why I wrote this book, the overarching reason, is to change the way people think about themselves, and that's could be anybody. That could be I don't care what ethnic background you are, but I want people to change. I wanted people to change the way they think about themselves. That's very important. And of course, we know it starts as a child. But also, by the same token, I want people to change the way they view other people because, and I know that's an awesome task, an awesome responsibility, but it can be done a little bit at a time. It can be chipped away a little bit at a time. Change how you think about yourself, change how you view and think about others. And then I think this would be a much better world and perhaps a more peaceful world. And I know that's an awesome thing to say, but
But I agree wholeheartedly.
yes,
Just think, if we if we showed more love, if we showed much more love towards ourselves, if
that's
we allowed our children to recognize who they are and then value and appreciate and accept others for who they are, just think. What a wonderful world this would be, you know?
It sounds like a simple thing, but unfortunately,
And
it's not.
actually, we make things more difficult.
Yes.
If we could just show more love, you know, it's easier. I mean, oh my God, I could go on. It's
Yes.
easier to be mean and evil and all that kind of stuff, but it takes a toll on your own health. It takes
Absolutely.
a toll on everything. And so
Everything.
let's show love, be love, be love, be love,
Eh,
just like you've shown love. Thank you so
Yes.
much for being here.
Yes. Thank you.
And we've got another show that's coming up right after this. And so what I'm going to do is air my intro, and then I'm going to come back with my guests for the second half. And so again, Janice, thank you so much. Normally, I like to talk to people after the show, but I don't have time to do that today.
We'll
So
talk.
we'll talk. Yes, we will.
Yeah.
Thank you
Thank you
so
so much.
much.
And thank you
Thank
to
you.
the audience. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Thank you. God bless. And I'll
God
talk
bless
to you
you.
again soon.
Yes. Thank you. Bye bye,
All
everybody.
right. Bye bye.